Hi everyone. It's nice to see you again. It's been a while since our last upload and pagpasensyaan nyo na. I've been so busy and sobrang loaded talaga. Anyways, I hope you're all safe and still doing great despite na I think may maparating na namang bagyo and especially sa mga low areas talagang nababaha na yung iba. So, I hope and pray na you're all safe. Okay? So, wala mo nang lalabas para maghanap ng signal. Okay? Uh, and I want to congratulate you all for your midterm exam. Nakapasa naman lahat and claiming na sana hanggang finals makapasa na lahat in Jesus name. Okay? Okay, so let's move on sa ating unit 4. So in this unit, you will learn about obtaining, providing, and disseminating information. So let's start. So in learning, obtaining information is very significant since it is the first stage of cognitive or learning process. So after obtaining information, a learner can continue the cognitive process to varying levels. So, ewan ko kung narinig nyo na yung Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy kasi, it is also known as the cognitive process domain. So it is a framework used to assess learning on the variety of cognitive levels ng every learner. So it has six stages. So we have remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. So, i-connect natin yan dito sa ating topic, which is the obtaining, providing, and disseminating information. So, sabi nga dito, unang-una ay pag-obtain ng information. So, sabi nga, you cannot give what you do not have. So, you cannot provide information, you cannot disseminate information without obtaining the information first. So, yun yung nauuna talaga, obtaining information. So, for instance, he or she may accomplish basic cognitive process by taking in information and simply storing it in the memory for later recall or remembering. So, balik tayo sa Bloom's taxonomy, yung sinabi ko kanina, number 1 and number 2 natin, we have remember and understand. So, dito sa obtaining information, kumukuha tayo ng information minsan to store it para for future use, para ma-remember natin. Minsan sinasummarize natin. So, dito papasok yung remembering and understanding. Dito sa obtaining information, papasok dyan si remembering and understanding under the Bloom's taxonomy. So, significantly, providing information plays a vital role in the field of education, career, and so on and so forth. So, as educators, one of the most important things is to provide relevance for students. So, napaka-importante sa amin to. So, we need to obtain the proper information to provide you relevant topics, relevant informations. So, very vital yan para sa amin. So, this would give them, a context within which they can develop into engaged, motivated, and self-regulated learners. Because relevance can help students realize how useful all knowledge can be. Similarly, as a speaker, as a person, or as a learner, the information provided should be sufficient, reliable, valid, and accurate. So in this way, the learners and receivers of the message would believe that the information given may intellectually direct his or her actions and decisions. So dito naman papasok yung pangatlo, pang-apat, at pang-lima sa Bloom's taxonomy. So we have applying, analyzing, and evaluate. So, paano papasok yung applying, analyzing, and evaluate sa providing information? So, sa providing information, ito nga yung sinasabi, applying, we as the educator, we use the information in a new but similar form. And then we analyze, you analyze it, we analyze it. We take the information apart and explore its relationships to one another. And then the last one is we evaluate. Is it sufficient? Is it reliable? Is it valid? Or is it accurate? So, dito sa providing information, dyan mag-fall yung applying, analyzing, and evaluate. So, in like manner, disseminating information is equally important in learning. So, the purpose of dissemination is to influence people's behavior. So, kanina, sa providing information, we apply. Yung unang-unang ginawa natin is we apply the information in a new but similar form. Dito naman sa disseminating, dito papasok yung creating. Kasi we use the information to create something new. So, we influence people's behavior. So, it's either they adapt to it, they are aware, they become aware to the new idea. So, dito na papasok yung, sabi nga dito, the use of various kinds of methods supporting each other is important when planning dissemination. So, ito na yung pinaka-importanting part. Kasi, dun sa dissemination mo malalaman kung gaano ba useful yung kanyang disseminate na information. So, let's move on sa ating next page. So, let's move on to topic 1. So, the types of information and ways of obtaining information. So, at the end of this lesson, you're expected to discuss the kinds of information, compare and contrast the kinds of information, and perform the different ways in obtaining information through collaborative activity. So, what kind of information do you usually receive each day? So, how do you receive and obtain information? So, we have 3 types of information. So, we have context, content, and meaning. So, di-discuss ko yan isa-isa. So, let's move on dito sa ating diagram. So, again, we have content, context, meaning. So, dito sa gitna yung information. So, let's have context first. So, context is how do we talk about it? How? And then yung content naman, what are we talking about? And yung meaning is the impact, yung essence. Okay? So, mababasa niyo yun dito sa baba. So, this is just a summary dito sa taas. Okay? So, we have, again, content is what we are talking about. Context is how do we talk about it. And meaning is the impact. Okay? So, paano papasok si interplay? So, interplay, papasok siya pag minix mo si content and context. So, again, yung content natin is what we are talking about. Context is how do we talk about it. So, ang interplay dyan is the approval or disapproval of a certain thing. So, content and context, pag pinag-mix mo yan, papasok sa interplay. Interplay means the decision-making process. Okay? Again, content is what we're talking about and context is how do we talk about it. So, pag pinag-mix mo yan, what we're talking about and how do we talk about it, papasok sa interplay and interplay is the decision-making process. So, next we have context and meaning. So, context is how do we talk about it, meaning is the impact. Okay? So, dyan papasok si interpretation. So, interpretation is how beliefs, values, experiences, expectations can change someone's perspective or can change how someone understood the subject or the topic. So, dahil yon kay meaning kasi it has the impact. It has the essence. Bakit kayo nag-uusap? Okay? So, yan yun. Pag pinag-mix mo si how do we talk about it and the meaning, dyan papasok yung interpretation. How a person can change its perspective. Okay? So, next we have content and meaning. Pag pinaghalo mo naman si content and meaning, we have implementation. So, what we are talking about and what's the impact. So, pag pinaghalo mo yun, implementation, proof of what will happen. So, yun lang yung summary nito kasi medyo broad to. So, again, pag pinag-mix mo si content and context, we have interplay. Interplay is the decision-making process. Pag pinag-mix mo naman si context and meaning, we have interpretation. So, it is how an information can change someone's perspective. So, the next one is content and meaning. Pag pinag-mix mo is the implementation, and that is the proof on what will happen pag nalaman niya na yung information na yun. Yun lang yun. Okay, so we move on to the characteristics of information. So we have relevant information there. So this one, relevant, means appropriate, connected. So it is capable of making a difference in making a decision. And valid information is a more in-depth information that allows greater insight. Reliable information is authentic, consistent, infallible, or information that suggests consistent dependability of judgment or result. And then we have factual information. It is something documented, established, confirmable, supportable, sustainable, and so on and so forth. So, very self-explanatory naman yan. So, aside from these, the 5 characteristics of high-quality information are accuracy, completeness, consistency, uniqueness, and timeliness. So, information needs to be of high quality to be useful and accurate as well. So, yun lang. Yun yung dyan umiikot yung types of information and ways on how to obtain information. So, the next topic will be about providing and disseminating information. Okay, let's move on sa ating topic 2, which is providing and disseminating information. So at the end of this lesson, you're expected to discuss the different ways of obtaining and providing and disseminating information, identify the methods in disseminating information, and obtain, provide, and disseminate information by actively participating in the communicative tasks given in class. Okay, so very self-explanatory naman to. And I know na most of you ay nagawa na to. Mag-interview, mag-observe, mag-survey, gumawa ng news, and so on and so forth. So, pahapyawan na lang natin to. So, teachers and students can obtain information in number of ways. So, kahit saan. Mapa-social media, mapa-email, mapa-news, lahat. Interview, and so on and so forth. So it can be through interview, observation, test, surf the net, read, watch news, and any films. So there are also other ways to get information, such as talking to people, focus group discussions, personal interviews, and surveys. So we have interviewing. So this is one convenient way to obtain information about the topic. So a person's goal is to discover the appropriate facts from a person who knows them. So always remember that when you conduct interviews, it is not a simple communication. It's not like that. So you need to prepare carefully. You need to maintain a professional attitude. You probe. Probe means you find ways. Kunwari, parang sa tingin mo, na-offend na siya. So, you change your question, and so on and so forth. And then you record. So, yun naman nangyari sa interview. So, it is a formal way of talking to someone or gathering information. So, next we have observing and testing, or observation. So in both observing and testing, someone is carrying out a questioning strategy. So when you observe, you're watching intentionally in order to discover the elements in a situation. So someone places herself or himself in a situation to observe and record his or her observations. So when observing, in order to collect information, the basic facts should be considered. Next, we have survey. Survey is defined as a research method. So, mostly ginagamit to sa quantitative research. So, surveys have a variety of purposes and can be carried out in many ways. So, this can be done in telephone surveys, mail, email, and internet. And we have the paper for the thesis. Next, we have definition of information dissemination. So information dissemination means spreading of information, knowledge, opinions widely to a certain person, people, or to a bigger group of audience. So the purpose of that is to, balik na tayo dun kanina, is to influence people's behavior. Sabi ito is to influence people's behavior so that they will adapt or at least become aware of the new idea. So, we have the methods. So, ito yung madalas nating ginagamit. We have number 1, news release. So, yan nga, balik na tayo dun sa sinabi ko kanina. When we are disseminating information, it should be proper and accurate. Yun lang naman. And it should be sufficient and exact. Walang labis, walang kulang. Yun lang. So number 1, news. So it is a written or recorded communication directed at members of the news media for the purpose of announcing something ostensibly newsworthy. Next, we have blog. Blog is like a news article then. So blog is a regularly updated website or web page, typically one run by an individual or small group that is written in an informal or conversational style. Next, we have emails. Alam nyo naman yan. Electronic means messages, text messages, social networking websites, social media. Ayan. So, we have public service announcements. So, it is the message in the public interest disseminated without charge with the objective of raising awareness. Yan, kung may mga bagyo, kung COVID, news, and so on and so forth. Mga public service announcements yan. And door-to-door, nangyayari naman yan pag-campaign, di ba? Nagdo-door-to-door yung mga volunteers. Nagdo-door-to-door din yung mga nagsasurvey, nagsacensus, and so on and so forth. So it is a canvassing technique that is generally used for sales, marketing, advertising, campaigning, and so on and so forth. So it is trying to inform, announce, sell, or advertise a product or a service. And the last one, we have community meetings. So community meetings is a small group method of collecting information from community members. So nangyayari yan kapag may meeting sa barangay, di ba? And meeting sa school, meeting sa classroom, homeroom PTCA meeting, mga ganun. So it is used to provide a directed but highly interactive discussion. So similar to but less formal than a focus group, and it is usually included by a larger group. So yeah, yun lang, napaka-easy. So sana may naintindihan kayo, sana clear din yung pag-explain ko dun sa differences between context, content, and meaning. So yeah, yun lang yung end ng Unit 4. So, I'll see you sa ating Unit 5. So, yeah. See you again.